being that it's the season of the witch, we're going to do another segment of October Halloween picks. One's not mentioned on the last show. And we, I realized in the last show, a lot of mine were ridiculous. Like the Amityville Horror, my favorite scene was the wedding cake. And to the listeners, it doesn't get much better this time. Because I'm going to kick it off, Robert, if I may.
Yes, please do.
Friday the 13th, Part 3, which I recently watched. And as you know, listeners, I've mentioned this before, it's my favorite of the franchise. But my favorite scene is a new scene for me. It is Shelly's dead.
Oh my God.
Because Chili goes upstairs and then walks right back down, and there's no reason to be up there, but we're doing it.
Oh, so it's
just love it.
When I saw that, I was like, I remember I was like, is this in the novel? And it is.
And it is.
It is exactly. Shelly's dead.
Shelly's dead.
Oh,
I just love it. Well, how about you? What was one that you haven't mentioned on the last show?
So obviously, and I don't know. So I couldn't find the last show, but I was trying to figure out something different. And I probably said Carrie 1976 in the last show, but it was obviously it's me, and I was revisiting it, some pieces of it because of Piper Laurie. So my favorite scene is still the proms, the split screens, and so forth. Because one, it kind of does take you out of the movie a little bit, but it is in such a way that it's letting you see cause reaction, and so I just love the way
it's great De Palma right there.
Yeah. So so Carrie will always be one of my
it's so much fun
no matter what. What do you got next?
I have Dawn of the Dead 1978. It's a weird favorite scene of mine, but the opening scene in Philadelphia with the SWAT team, you know, it's cool. There's so much going on. There's the outbreak, the initial news reports, the breakdown, society trying to take control or keep control. But then there's like the low income housing, and they're hoarded in there, but some are infected, some are not. It's just so chaotic. And then it sweeps to the helicopter and it's like calm, quiet. So I thought that was a cool opening because you basically see society breaking down.
Yeah.
And government's still trying to hold on, and it's like, no, it's not happening, pal.
Yep. Newsroom chaos, the police. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So, those, and Dawn of the Dead would probably always, well, it should be, I mean, the strongest of any of the Dead movies that he did, for that simple reason. It was kind of the most cohesive, meaningful, I think, still, and kind of artistically done. His follow-up Day of the Dead just didn't follow. It felt shallower than
I agree.
Previous two. Yeah. But
you know, it's really interesting you say that, because I always felt that it kind of did, you know, it's kind of gimmicky, and the Captain Rhodes or whatever was like Bono trying to be in the army, and I'm like, I'm not buying it. But Dawn of the Dead I thought was cool because when you talked about being cohesive, they did show in Dawn of the Dead that the rural parts of the country were able to like maintain. They were able to control the outbreak because there was like hunters and. But then the cities were like death traps, and
those
they just
Midwesterners.
Yeah, the Midwest. That's where you want to be. But good call. What about
next,
you, Sal?
I put Exorcist 3. So obviously, this is usually looked upon as one of the better sequels. And I was kind of going for more creepy moments, and so my favorite scene out of this movie. A lot of people have their favorite, the scare scene. But I like the Father Dyer office scene where it's super quiet. And then at one point they're talking about Regan, what happened, whatever, and you could just vaguely hear on her Regan giggling a little bit on the soundtrack. And at one point the clock stops, and then there's kind of papers rustling. It's not like overdone. It's not like Paranormal Activity, but enough that that George C. Scott's kind of looking around, and there's a scene where like one of the statues now has like this weird kind of clown, almost Joker face. Now, if it was Exorcist
that's creepy.
2023, they would cut to that and they make a blah, like scare. This was just quiet, and it was just, you just happen to see it, And I was like, that's what I miss from Exorcist movies, or quieter suspense movies. But anyway, so that kind of whole scene is one of my favorites. And I remember in the theater, it was just, people were chilled,
I'm
because
looking at the picture
yeah,
now. It's
yeah,
chilling.
yeah. But
Yeah.
we weren't able to. Yeah, people were just like, what? It's the same thing. Like I think we did like with the original Halloween. You're looking at all parts of the screen to see
Like
what's happening.
what's
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, that is creepy.
But yeah,
Great
so
effects too.
it is. It is. So that was mine. What do you have next?
I
Or we have the
have
same for the
we
next.
have the same. We have Christine and killing Buddy. It's the best scene in
Yeah.
the movie,
And it could be, I
right?
don't know about, yeah, between soundtrack, what's happening, the visuals, car on fire, like it just doesn't get better than that.
It doesn't. Buddy
Yeah.
Repperton. Yeah.
Probably kind of transcends anything that happened in the novel. He probably got killed completely different in the novel. I cannot remember now,
I don't remember. I
um,
did read it
but yeah,
once, but
yeah. But
but
yeah,
that
so
is a great
Christine,
scene.
yeah. I had to pare down because at one point I had like half my thing was Stephen King movies, and I'm like, no, that's not quite.
I
I was
know. I
trying
have like
actually
three
took
of them on
I
here.
I took back, but I was like, there's probably a reason for that, or the kind of the
Oh
OG
yeah.
Stephen King stuff. So
Whatever happened to Doug? Is it Doug Gordon, the
um
actor in Christine?
nah, it's something Gordon, but yeah, he became a director or director
He
of
became a
movies. Yeah,
director.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was it.
So he's actually more known for that now than any of his roles, but
Yeah. Oh, he
Keith
was Keith
Keith
Gordon.
Gordon. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What about you? So what was we'll start to your next one. What was your next
So
one?
my next one, Rosemary's Baby, and probably because I was thinking about
Oh yeah,
a
right.
good version.
It's on
Yeah.
the brain.
Same thing. I pick my creepy scene is when Rosemary's on in the phone booth and she's calling the doctor, and then somehow slips behind her, but we don't realize until she turns and hangs up the phone that there's another gentleman that turns and just looks right at her, spying on her more. So to me, it's like that ultimate paranoia.
Yeah,
And if I
it
remember right,
is.
it's all done in one shot, and I was just like, that whole scene it was more meaningful than Emma Roberts saying, "Oh, somebody was across the street and a bus went by and then they're gone." I'm like, come on, like let's stop
Emma.
that every
Oh my
time.
god.
It's like, oh, I have a zit on my face. I don't know, none of this is working,
Right.
But
You might as
like,
well just throw. Yeah. At that point,
yeah, I just so no.
that is a good scene though. The Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, oh yeah, and that's
Yeah.
that whole paranoia thing freaked me out more, I think, as a kid than the devil or anything like that. But
Yeah. Yeah. It seeps in there.
yeah.
I have Halloween 4. The
Leave
Return
us
of Michael
alone.
Myers.
Oh, sorry.
Leave us alone. I did. I did watch that. I don't know if I put it on my list, but I did. I did.
Yeah, yeah.
That is good. That is great. I gotta go. I got a whole town full of beer bellies out there with shotguns. Can't say
So what? I assume you did not put "Leave Us Alone" as your favorite scene, but what did you
it's
put?
my favorite unintentional scene,
Yeah.
but I was trying to be serious. I think, like most fans, I don't know if it's scene wise in terms of plot relevance, but the coolest visual is when the ambulance leaves Smith's Grove and the music kicks on, and it's the same location as the stand, as the
Hmm.
Vermont whatever disease control. That I think they nailed it with the music and the weather and you know the cinematography. I
Yeah.
guess it's always
Music
been cool
kicks
to me.
in. It's always
Yeah,
raining October 30th in Illinois.
right. It's always raining, but
Yeah.
like they shoot the doctor or whatever like
Hmm.
from the inside of the ambulance at first, and then it cuts to the exterior. Like it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
No,
So
like I always say, I remember that 18-year-old Robert in the movie theater seeing Halloween for the first time on the big screen, and that kicked in. I was just probably peed my
wow,
pants right there.
how do you
So
not?
excited. I
Yeah,
know. It's like I couldn't believe it. A
it's
new
so great.
Halloween. And I think about that because that came out in '88, and it seemed like such a long time since the last Halloween. And Halloween 3 was 1982. So it was like literally a matter of 6 years, which
It
now
is a long
just
time.
it goes back, that's like a drop in
Yeah,
the hat. And it was forever, like we haven't had a Halloween in so long. And
yeah.
now it's just like nothing. It's like nothing.
No, no, no
Yeah.
thing.
But
Good
yeah, I,
call.
I agree that that is a
Yeah,
good
it's
scene.
fun.
So my next one is a Halloween as well. So Halloween 2018. Like I said, I was going for more creepiness, I think.
Yeah,
Because if I remember on my list from last time, I probably definitely put The Descent and, that whole. So Halloween 2018, one of my creepy moments that I thought they did really well, which actually kind of made me fearful of Michael again, is um, Michael just killed the dad, Ray, out in the yard, and Lori's locking the door, and Judy Greer's coming down like, "What's wrong?" And she's like, "Michael's here," you know. And as soon as she said
Yeah.
that, I was like, you know, one, we're treating Michael as a human being, and it's kind of almost more of a home invasion type thing. And then they go downstairs and you can hear him walking around. So that
Oh
whole
yeah.
couple minutes was creepy enough to me that it was like, this is what made Michael, this was scared me as a kid, Michael Myers wise. So I felt like
It's
David Gordon
scary.
Green actually got that right. So yeah,
I agree with you. They humanized him again, and it did its job when you hear him downstairs and the person, the home intruder kind of thing.
yeah,
It gets you.
yeah, because that's a real versus killing 12 firefighters. That
Right. Right.
just,
Right.
you know, hypothetically, you know, but
Hypothetically, if
yeah,
that
yeah.
were to happen in a
Yes.
sequel, what would
If
we
that
do?
if that would happen an hour later, hmm,
Hmm.
you know.
Stop. Stop. Oh man, that was the whole
Uh,
teaser. Remember that when the first teaser
yes.
came out? It was just that. I have the birds.
Oh, yes.
The diner slash it's the diner across the street from the gas station.
Yeah.
You know, you have the know-it-all lady and
Yes.
birds. Well, certainly there's no contest between humanity and the birds. And, one
Uh,
picks the little girl and
yeah. Thank you, Miss Exposition.
hey,
Yeah,
have you ever read the book The Birds?
I have not. Have you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's different. It
Mm,
all takes place in England. Um but uh it's a lot more psychological, they
gotcha.
what's going on outside is civilization's still running, and it's interesting. But yeah,
Mm,
Bird 63, I don't visit that much. It's not one of my favorite Hitchcock movies, but when I do around this time of year, I do like that scene.
yeah. I didn't see the Birds 2 lands in on your list. So, whew,
Is there birds too?
there is a Birds 2,
Oh my gosh.
directed by Alan Smithy. That'll give you a little.
Land's End. Oh, Tippy Hedren's
It,
in it.
she actually does have it. She's not. She doesn't play herself. But
94.
yeah, it is not good. It's probably like you would.
Oh,
It's
Rick
like
Rosenthal directed it. Well, I do like
yes,
Halloween too.
yeah. But do you like Halloween Resurrection? I'm just saying.
Oh god.
Um,
But you've seen this?
well, parts of it at least. It's one of those like you're like, let me give it a try, and literally you're 5 minutes into it, and you're like, I can't. That's how bad it is.
Well,
So
Tippi Hedren would have been. Did she have a big role in this, or is it like a
no, she was
cameo?
like a store owner. So I think she was in one or two scenes at
Okay.
most. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
So she was just there as a kind of. I'm not sure. Hopefully
Right.
they paid her well. So, but yeah, it was kind of more actually like hopefully you got a good paycheck. I'm sure she just gave it to her animal sanctuary or something like that. But
Yeah. Right.
yeah,
Right.
but which is yeah, she could do better for sure. So,
Yeah, I think so. Land's End.
next is it's not a movie. It's an episode of Alfred Hitchcock Presents. And it's The Gloating Place. So I'm not sure if you've ever,
I've seen all of them. I just
yeah.
don't remember which one the gloating
So
place is.
Gloating Place takes place at a high school, and high school I'm putting in quotes because they're Greece, 34-year-olds playing high schoolers. They're not that old, but
Right.
and it's also kind of adjacent to this park where there's been like assaults and stuff kind of happening or whatever, and then there's kind of
Yes.
this meek kind of girl, whatever, and then she's not getting enough attention, from the big man on campus, and so at some point she decides to, she rips her clothes and comes running, screaming from the park that she was attacked, and then she's trying to give these clues, and the police are kind of like they kind of semi onto her. They realize that something's a little bit off, and then but the press keeps wanting, oh, they do want to talk to me, and then and she's in the press for a couple days and is getting attention, and then one of the other kind of more popular girls actually does get attacked, and then so she kind of needs to make her story right. Yeah. So anyway, so and I don't know if
It's classic
if
Hitchcock.
I should
You've covered this
spoil
on
it.
your site.
Yeah, so I think yeah, I did go to the a couple of the locations, but so I did and they remade it for the updated 80s Alfred Hitchcock Presents. So and I remember watching it as a kid, and near the very end is like she goes back to the park, she's like, they all believe me. And she's kind of, I think she's
Covenant.
looking into the reflection. So the camera shot is her in a reflection, kind of looking into the to the pond at the park or whatever. And then behind her, the man in the dark mask and the white gloves comes and grabs her or whatever. So literally as
Yes,
a kid,
yes.
oh my God, I
It's
just
scary. Oh, it's
had
scary.
a heart attack. And I was just like, that was
There's no doubt.
scarred into my brain for so long. So I was just like, I never forgot it. Never
That
forgot it.
is a good one.
Yeah.
That really is. That
S-
one and sticks out in my mind, and also the one where the guy pretends to be cured at like the Fountain of Lords or something,
mm,
and he's like, "Oh, it's a miracle! I can walk again." When the holy water gets on him,
Yeah.
and then at the end, he really like does become paralyzed, and they show like the statue looking at him, and it's like, "I really can't walk."
She's like, lessons
Hitchcock is so
learned.
good, man.
Yes.
You know, that's a that's another show. This is another show topic, but we should do a Twilight Zone versus
Mm,
Hitchcock.
yes.
Like, they're all
And
good.
all the variations.
Oh, there's some there there's some movies and
Yep.
some TV
There's
shows.
some shows.
There's some shows.
What do you got
Um,
next?
I have Halloween Kills 2021, the opening police sequence, the entire recreation of Haddonfield in the late 70s.
1978.
78. It takes you back to the original and you feel like you're there because they show quiet, it's like after Halloween is kind of wrapping up, the kids are in, they're showing like back alleys, small town, then like the isolation of the two cops in the house. And
Yep.
I think the CGI looks good. Like you know,
Yeah,
for all the
the
ways they could screw that up, I think I believe it. It's good.
David Gordon Green will find a way to screw it up. So
He,
from everything I know, the original script was almost I I think almost half of the movie I think was taking place in 78, and which kind of could be like, as fans we would love it. I could see as general moviegoers, they're like, where's the new Michael, like, but
yeah.
I all of that worked. And I remember excitement because I was at the US premiere. And so to when they kind of did this boom back, Halloween, Haddonfield, 1978, audience I think cheered, like we're excited that we were back in 1978, and kind of reliving some moments. So
Oh
I
yeah.
completely agree. And they did a decent amount of, I should say, retconning, but it was good. It was, they still had to make it work. He couldn't really kill anybody else, or and
Right.
that way, because they would have everybody else's lines in the future movies would have been incorrect.
Yeah, right,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
you really
So
couldn't.
yeah, but yeah. So obviously, yeah, doing the Michael Myers house and kind of almost doing a good job recreating Elrod Alley was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
So,
then the rest of the movie happened.
and then it wasn't great anymore.
But
What about
yeah,
you? What was your next one?
Zodiac, so the 2007 David Fincher movie. So
Good flick.
going back for creepy scenes, so the whole Charles Fleischer scene where um, uh, he goes
Good
to
call.
gets invited to his not invited to his house, but was he a movie theater projector? I can't remember. So he had all the old posters, and it's all down in the basement, and things are creepy enough as it is. And when he goes in the basement, you're like, this is it. Like he's once you're in the basement, you're not getting out of the basement. So the
Oh,
way
that's
it's
so
like
creepy.
it's barely lit, and I think if I remember right, David Fincher listed that honestly that is really only lit with like a 60-watt bulb, like literally.
Oh, they
There was
actually
no,
filmed it
yeah,
that way.
that. Charles Fleischer's probably at his creepiest best.
Oh,
Um, yeah, so that whole scene is just like
it is. It is.
hold your
It
breath.
does its job.
Yeah, so one of my favorite movie moments there. So
Is that one of your favorite movies?
it is. So
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
one of
I
those
like that. I like that too.
I do get caught up into that, and I did several of the movie locations uh, while I was been out and about, both in San Francisco and LA, for sure.
I like that you watch that. That's
Oh
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. There were two
Um,
Zodiac movies that year.
yeah, one was well, this is the one, obviously.
This is the one you want to
This
watch.
is the one you want.
I
You got
had Dead Zone, a Stephen King movie. The
this.
climax of the movie. It's one of those films where I think the novel is better, But the climax is cool. It has one of those, people always ask, like, if you could go back in time and kill Hitler, would you do it if you knew what he did? And things like that. And it's, what would you do? And he doesn't actually have to do it. It doesn't work out the way he wanted
Yeah.
it to, but it serves its purpose. And I don't know, it gets you sweaty palms. It's in the church. There's like, I think I always thought it was a good climax, both story and thematically for the movie.
Yep.
So
Deborah Hill produced movie.
it is. That's right.
Yeah.
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 Dead
So
Zone.
and this is where, Dead Zone is not necessarily a horror film. It's definitely a thriller.
No. Yeah.
But and I think why Stephen King shows up a lot onto these lists is that all of his movies are character driven. Are his works are character driven, so it's not
Touche.
just the plot mechanisms. Obviously, with Johnny and his what he can see and change or whatever moves the plot forward, but it's all character driven of him and his love lost and the son he wasn't able to have and so forth. So
Well said, sir.
yeah,
Well said.
you're
Yeah.
hurting my son.
You're hurting my son.
Oh,
Oh.
the scissor scene. Ugh.
Oh. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
We're not gloating in that place.
Nasty.
Nasty. Snip snip.
Um,
What about you?
Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the '78 version. So again, I'm going to I might be harkening back to movies I saw as a kid, or maybe too young, or they'd be NBC Sunday night or the Sunday night movie or whatever.
Of
So
course.
you'd be seeing this more sanitized version, but so they're at the baths, which I still understand mud baths and all that, and especially as a kid, was like, why are they in mud, And then it was
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum's or his pod person becoming a pod person on the table, and is creepy, and then eyes
It
open
is
and stuff like
creepy.
that. Yeah, and that just freaked me out. Yeah.
Yeah, the bath scenes. I'm just glad you said that one and not another one, which I'm not even going to bring up.
Yeah.
So I don't get nightmares.
All right. Don't think about it.
I can't.
Yeah.
But good call on that one though,
Yeah.
for sure.
And it might have been second to the scene, which creeped me out. Now it's kind of funny, but there was a pod gone wrong where they have the homeless guy and his dog.
Oh, that was it. That was the scene.
Is that it? Is that what you're
Oh, I
talking about?
can't.
Oh,
I can't.
and it's like
It is so creepy.
it
Oh,
is.
it's so creepy.
It's good effect. I mean,
It is good. It is good.
1978. Yeah. So
And the
sorry.
way he looks up and
Yeah.
it's like, wow.
Yeah, and that's what kind of ruins it. That movie has lots of great moments. That
It does.
we're going back to paranoia.
Yeah.
that's what it's about. So
No, I'm gonna rewatch that this year. Good call.
you should watch all the Body Snatchers. Yeah,
What's that?
you should watch all the Body Snatchers.
Oh yeah. Oh, you have to. There's only two, right?
Well, there's original Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the
Three.
remake
Yeah.
Body Snatchers. Where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna
Right.
run? And then Invasion.
Okay.
Nicole
Yeah,
Kidman.
I've seen them all.
Yeah.
I
Some are
honestly,
not worth revisiting, but
yeah, the '78 one and the original's fun, of course, but the '90s one I think are my two go-tos.
yeah.
I have Salem's Lot. Not a Return to Salem's Lot, which I didn't even put on the list, but I did rewatch that.
Ooh, good for you. Did the whole
You know
thing?
what? I
That's
watched that
hard to
all the
do. Yeah.
time as a
Did you?
kid.
Really?
I somehow obtained that VHS, and my friends and I, when they slept over, I'd put it on because it was like scary.
Yeah.
And I remember like the biggest takeaways were, I think that's a Wolverine trap he got his foot caught in. Like nobody was scared or like buying it.
Yeah.
It's just not very scary. But Salem's Lot has some good jumps in there.
Yes.
And the scene where the vampire's floating, I always thought was cool effects. But yeah, I like Salem's Lot, the film. It's good.
Yeah, it still holds up pretty well.
Yeah.
I bought it when it came out on Blu-ray
Oh, you bought it?
last year. Yeah, to kind of give it a good revisit, and some people have been doing locations up, I think, Northern California, which is great. But yeah, so and I know they remade it, or had been remade into a TV series, but I'm not sure if it was shut down or if they finished. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I know Rob Lowe's in it. I think that's about all I know.
I did watch that.
Yeah. Is it already out? I can't remember.
Well, they made one in like 2005
maybe.
or something.
Okay.
And it was like Rob Lowe and James Cromwell, I think.
Gotcha. So there might be another new one. I'm not sure. But
there was supposed to be, yeah.
Yeah.
The Rob Lowe one's just okay.
Is that just okay?
Yeah.
It is Rob Lowe. I do
Right.
love Rob Lowe, but anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
What was
next,
yours?
I put The Stepfather, the 1987 version. So,
Nice.
um, lots of things I love about this film. The scene I picked out where he's down in the basement freaking out, kind of yelling at himself, not realizing that he's being witnessed by his
Psychological breakdown.
future stepdaughter, and he has to turn around. And he's like, "Oh hi," you know, like, but then it's too late, you know, like, um, probably kind of like when I saw it as a teenager, it's like, "Oh my god," you know, like,
Yeah.
and as a teenager, you
It's
are
good
trapped.
acting.
Yeah, you are trapped because what are you supposed to do? You know.
Right. There is no one like you
Yeah.
left. Wrong movie, but
Yeah.
I like it.
So my whole list probably says more about my psychological view of myself.
I like it. I like it.
What do you have next?
Finally, I have The Thing, the test with fire scene when they go around prodding people to see which blood, they
Oh,
prick
the
the
blood
the
saying,
blood.
yeah, yeah,
I feel like you're supposed to be safe in that scene as a viewer because you're like, well, they're all in the
yeah,
same room. Like they'll
yeah,
kill whatever it is, but they don't understand what they're dealing with. It could be
yeah.
anything, and it's very sweaty palmish.
And it's great. The jumps part is a great sleight of hand because
Yeah,
they multiple things, and it's always Kurt Russell's hand holding this, and then for that
right.
scene, it is not Kurt Russell. You know, it's a whole prosthetic that is
Yeah,
able to have the thing. So it's like good for them.
good for them. Yeah, it was pulled off.
Yeah.
So yeah, go watch these kids. They're fun movies to watch.